Welcome, everyone who is clicking on this live option today. My name is Andrea Luzon. I'm here with Dr. Heidi Boyd. We are ready to share with you some insights that have popped into our world in the last 24 hours. And Dr. Boyd has done such amazing inner work. And I have been holding space for individuals in regards to their biofield. So I catalyze biofields, which is your garden of health and well-being. And so that is the container, the powerful container that I am holding space for women. And Dr. Boyd recently read a book, but let me share the topic before we expand a little bit more on our background, our work. So today is really about feeling centered and present in your life. How can I'll make this about me, how can I feel centered and present in my life? And what has come forward for Heidi and I is a complaint that we're hearing from our network of individuals that has really been saying, I feel like everything is sucking out my life force. I'm feeling depleted. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling a bit like a zombie, like I'm just moving through the mechanics of my life, and I want more. And so Dr. Boyd and I are here to chat with you about how we can step into our power, into our voice, into our value, and really into the aliveness. So Heidi, tell us a little bit about just a little bit of information about your work and what got you on the path of standing for individuals, really connecting with their life force, with their power.
Well, I mean, this is so beautiful. It's really speaks to really what I wanted in my whole life, um, which was to be just centered in my life. Um, I always thought that I just wanted to be happy. So all my life I was like kind of chasing this happiness. So I just want to be happy. And then I had it's to make a long story short, I had like an awakening experience where I was what's called like disidentified from thought. So there was like an awakening where I recognized thing. I recognized what I call the mechanism of mind, that there's thoughts that come and they go, and that I am not that. And I wrote a book called Love Speaks, and it's all about the present, and it's all about presence. And all I ever I realized when I had this, I fell into witness consciousness. I fell into the peace of what I truly am, and it obliterated any happiness that I thought I wanted for myself. And so I've been able to cultivate this presence, um, and I realized that all I really wanted was to be centered, like you said, like what this was about. It so resonates with me because it was to be totally centered in my life, to be alive in my life, regardless of the external circumstances. I think that it's so easy for us, or I'll speak about myself, that I used to always connect my life, my aliveness, my joy, my love to something outside of me. One of the main things being a partner, or a relationship, or my job, my passion, connecting my passion to my job or to what I'm doing, or it was always outside of me. And then I realized that it's actually opposite. I am the life. I am the life that has come. I mean, if I don't breathe, this day doesn't happen. If I don't wake up, then no day. So in a way, I'm giving life. I am the life that's living my life. So I'm always connected to my life, and my life should feeding me, or I notice that more and more my life feeds me from the inside, and it has nothing to do, it's my energy, it's my life that I'm bringing to these circumstances, to these people that are coming, that are unfolding for me versus it being the other way around.
I, you and I met in 2019, early 2019, in California at the University of Santa Monica. Heidi and I were studying spiritual psychology, and it has been such a joy to know you then as you're awakening. I love reawakening. We're all awake. We all came here to have the human experience. So we're all awake, but the reawakening to look at where you and I have been in
Yeah,
regards to stepping into our voice, stepping into our deeper awareness.
yeah,
It is just such a joy, and I really love and trust your guidance. The guidance that you receive is just such. I really love the broadness of it.
yeah.
Like I feel as though I get very into like the day to day and the analyzing, and I really love these conversations with you because I feel that there's so much of a bigger picture kind of love in the way you are sharing your experience.
Ah, thanks.
Yeah, yeah. So I love that you. It sounds like what I'm hearing you say is that you're really bringing home the idea that we are the life force. Like if the complaint is my world, all of my commitments, why are my commitments sucking my life force? If that's, so that's the pain point we're hearing in the wind of our connections in the world. Why why are my commitments sucking my life force? And I'm hearing you ground into the knowing that you are the life force, that the life force is already in you. And so what in your experience, what's really going on with that person, in all of the work that we've done, and you were to put yourself in the shoes of, let's say this is a mother, or this is a young woman finding her place in the world. We talked a little bit about a friend of mine who had this full-time gig in a corporate culture, and then was let go just in the last couple of weeks. And so she was realizing, or her realization was, well, you know what, that was just sucking my life force anyway. So what would you say, what is your feedback in that situation?
Well, I always see life as a mirror. Have you heard people say like life is a mirror?
Hmm. Yeah.
So I think, and we spoke a little bit about this about your friend earlier.
Hmm.
So I am what I see. And you had shared earlier that she actually, when she was let go, realized that she wasn't really even there.
Hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
So life is always reflecting to me what I am. I notice that instead of me dictating to life what what I need and what I want, why don't I? It's an experiment. Why don't I try letting life show me what I need and what I want? So share with you a very personal experience, if you don't mind, that showed me this very clearly. So I'm seeing they're in a relationship with someone, a man, and we were seeing each other, and then he said to me that he needed space. And I was like, that's kind of my arch nemesis in relationships, space. But I thought, okay, what is my world, literally, what is my world telling me, and how is that true? So he says he needs space. And instead of me putting up my defense and going from my own place of like, well, I want to be with him. I want,
Hmm.
see that. I thought, okay, how is that true? And then I go, he says he needs space. How is that true for him? How can I give him space? How is that true for me? I need space.
Hmm.
I realized I was walking outside one time and I thought, "Ah, well, he needs space." And I thought I'm giving him space because I was not contacting him or not anything. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna. And I thought, oh, and I realized I'm giving me space. And it was such it was such, I was like, I'm giving me space. Yes, I'm giving myself the space to be with these addictive thoughts. This is addictive, to give myself some space. I mean, really, truthfully, we are the space that are witnessing our thoughts, are witnessing our emotions. And that space is so vast and so full and so whole that it is not unexpressible. And yet I try to express it. I realized, so I'm always looking at what my world is telling me, and I'm going, how is that true? Because why? Because I want to join my world. I don't want to fight my world. I want to join my world. So he needs space. Maybe I need space. Maybe he's got a freaking point. And then I realized, oh, I do need space. I need space. He's giving me the opportunity to have space with myself, to have space from him, to get clear on myself, to have space from this crazy obsessive thinking about him. Or another example, my mom. I love you, mom. I talk to my mom and I go, oh, my mom is complaining. Well, in the moment that I think my mom is complaining, I am complaining about my mom. It's always this. It's always this. I cannot explain the joy that I get from my mind working this way because I am completely self-sufficient. I use my world to awaken me. Actually, my world is serving me to awaken me. So what I see is what I am. And this fuels me. It wakes me up to myself. And it frees up this energy that I'm blocking that is causing the whole concept of like, oh, my life is depleting me. I mean, the truth is, right? Oh, commitments, my commitments. Well, without me, there wouldn't be commitments. So literally, I can obliterate these commitments at any moment. I am the one that's choosing to commit. Oh my God, I used to have this so backwards. I used to be such a victim to my life.
Mhm. Yeah, what's coming forward for me right now is thinking that something is sucking your life force. And I know we should always use ourselves as an example, but this beautiful conversation unfolded today. And so I really that's what's pressing on my heart right now is wanting to hold my friend high in regards to what is opening up right now. You know, if we've shed the job that we were not fully present for anyway, then what gets to open. And so that's really the space that I'm coming that I get to be in for her, is holding her high, holding her in her vision. We already set a couple of accountability steps that she had declared but wasn't doing. So I get to show up for her in regards to, okay, tomorrow morning when you wake up, I want to receive a text message from you that says that I sent the email to my followers in regards to how I get to serve them in this new way, or thank you for writing me back. Regardless, holding her accountable, holding her high, offering support. And
Yeah.
so what's coming forward is what you were saying about how, life often is mirroring what's really going on. And so she had been asked multiple times to follow certain protocol, and then would show up the next day and not follow protocol again. And really, she just really walks to the beat of her own drum, which is part of what magnetized us together. She's very buoyant and very take charge, and really just walks to the beat of her own drum. And I love that. I so admire that. And yet in this corporate culture, there was a misalignment in regards to, so she just kept being asked to do things one way, kept not doing them one way. And so she was having this epiphany as we were talking of, oh wow, I really showed myself the door. Like I really, she's like, I walked myself to the exit door of that job, like intentionally, not seeing it at the time, but now looking back, like, wow, I walked myself, I exited pretty much on my own. So, and what's coming forward with you for that in regards to the like asked to follow protocol and then not doing it, or like being told to be a certain way and then refusing?
Well, I just want to point out that life showed her that, like, it's like, I think it's so much easier to let life show me what I need and what I don't need.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, life showed her, instead of, and even though maybe she thought she wanted this job, but then the job let her go, so obviously she doesn't want the job.
Mm-hmm.
Versus it being like, "Oh, well, they let me go, da 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 da." It's like, "Oh, like it's a gift. Oh, well, they let me go, so obviously I'm not meant to be in this job. Obviously, this is a gift." And I think that it's obvious that she also wanted that. If I can see my life, that my life is what I want.
Right. Yes,
And
and it's
my
almost a little bit of magnetizing when we talk about manifesting. I hear a lot of you're going to get the energy, you're going to get what you're thinking about. And if the energy going out there is, I want freedom from these expectations, I want freedom from these expectations. She got freedom from these expectations. Like she gets to do it her own way now because the corporate culture is not the restriction any longer. So she really called, it feels to me like she really called it in. And she had that epiphany on her own that like, wow, I really called this to myself. But so yeah, when we get into the feeling like we're disconnecting from our life force, like feeling like we are becoming a zombie or we're living our life in overwhelm. I really hear what you're saying is that it's where are you putting your attention? You know, is your attention on, my energy is always depleted, why does everyone else get my attention and I don't get my attention, or my needs are not being met? It's almost, I feel as though what I want to reflect back to you is what I'm hearing. You're really calling in more of the same.
well, the more that I the more that I became like the more that feel like we're able to witness this mechanism. And I really love calling it a mechanism, because
Mm,
the mind is a tool that is used, that when we can see it, it is to be used in service of the heart. It doesn't have to just be running on its own. So um it's also, I notice that it's also instantaneous. If I think I am depleted, then I feel that immediately.
mm,
There's no delay. People think there's a delay, but there's not a delay. I feel it instantly. If you're in a movie and you're watching a scary movie, you will feel fear instantly, and it's completely the movie doing it. So it's the same with the mind. The mind is showing us a movie. If I'm overwhelmed, I'm watching a movie of myself overwhelmed, and I feel it instantly.
mm,
So there's no delay. So this, I'm like recognizing that it's happening now, that it's instantly happening now, then I can deal with the cause of it, which is my thinking in the moment. It's not the situation, because I can always handle what's in front of me if I'm present. At least I have not found it to be any different yet. I can always handle the moment in front of me. If I'm overwhelmed or I'm frustrated or I'm frazzled, if I can become very still and start to watch what's happening in my mind, it's because I'm thinking about what's going to happen. So I'm not present with what's actually in front of me. My attention, my value, my life force is going into my imagination. And my imagination is of a future which is based on a past.
Mm,
Because the mind is a computer, it's a system, and everything that is in my mind is what has been fed from my past.
yeah. So we're making predictions in our imagination based on our past experience. And thus we're completely not present. And that's really, yeah, I thank you. Yeah, that's really grounding it in, because what we wanted to, our part of our goal today is to help to stand for others as they reclaim their power.
Yes.
Know their intrinsic, already there value.
Yes.
Stepping into your life force, stepping into the power of your life force that is already in you, constantly available, ready, waiting, inside, already
Exhaustible.
happening.
This energy that we are is inexhaustible. We think it's dependent. We think it's, I hear people say, like, oh, it's dependent on what I'm eating. It's dependent on, oh, I didn't get enough sleep. I didn't, I didn't exercise, or I did exercise. Really though? Because haven't you ever had an experience where something happens and all of a sudden you're filled with energy?
Totally.
Nothing to do.
Every night shortly before bed, actually. It's like the second wind of like all the things.
And then, like, what is going on here?
Mhm.
And then sometimes, like, I would notice this because I spent a lot of time, as life would have it, as life unfolded for me, I spent a lot of time in solitude. So this became so blatantly obvious to me that I could go through all these different emotional shifts sitting in my living room. Now, if I'm sitting in my living room alone and I'm having an argument, isn't it obvious who the culprit is? Yeah, like if I'm sitting in my living room and I'm energized, or I'm sitting in my living room and I'm depleted and I'm alone. See, we think that it's these external circumstances that's moving our energy around, but it's not. It's our thinking and the openness of our heart. When my heart is open, I can rule the world. When I'm thinking about some kind of future, which is usually based on the past, when this comes in, then my heart closes.
Mm,
So it's all an internal experience.
yeah.
Or this is what I found because I was blessed to be in solitude a lot. I noticed myself going through all of these things when nothing externally was changing. I noticed how my internal world changed. Well, I'm the only one in here. So how can that be? And this is so important. I think that's the important thing of somebody that really wants to awaken, is
Mhm.
to awaken that the problem is in me. I'm the only one in here. This is my experience. It's nobody else's. So, and now I can begin to work with myself versus trying to change. I spent my whole life changing my external circumstances, moving, getting new jobs, getting more money, getting less money, getting doing this, doing that, getting a boyfriend, not having a boyfriend,
Mm,
changing my manipulating my external world when the whole time the only thing I was experiencing was my internal world. So when I had this shift, I shifted to exclusively dealing with my internal world versus manipulating my external world. And the
mhm.
amazing thing is that my external world was always in place.
Yeah.
There
And
was
how
nothing wrong
and
with my
how
world.
can you and I, in this moment, before the end of this call, how can we offer um, something tangible, something ways or methods of reconnecting to our aliveness, reconnecting to our life force? Um, a really fun way to step into it that you and I had expressed is becoming supercharged in your aliveness. So
Yeah.
what's resonating for you in this moment in regards to someone who's really wanting to have something that they can hold on to, a practice, if you will, to really to ground into that aliveness, that life force that is always with them and ready.
Yeah. Well, for me, I know, and I really want to hear your ways because I know you have beautiful ways that you share that ground you. Um, for me, I'm always, it's a way of, for me, it's a way of turning in. I like to say that I help people become the one they seek so that the seeking stops and the awakening begins.
Mhm.
As long as I'm reaching out and trying to go out there, I'm literally I'm literally putting my energy, my value, my power outside of me. So for me, it's all about turning it around and bringing and recognizing that the power is in me.
Mhm.
And it's always me dealing with me. And when I give up the trying to manipulate the external world, and I'm ready to just work with myself, to really let that go and just work with myself. And for me, it's working with my thinking, working with this world of thoughts that is happening. Um, so that's how I work with myself, and it's constantly bringing myself back into the present moment and letting go and surrendering everything. And that's a very interesting process that I'm sure we can speak on just that process.
Right.
But letting go for me, it's often I'm able to just let go and surrender anything outside of this present moment, and then recognize what's around me, recognize that I'm breathing, I'm sitting, standing, lying down somewhere. The sun rises, the sun sets. There's a whole universe spinning. There's a whole universe functioning perfectly. And really becoming present to what's in front of me, what's actually in front of me.
Yeah, I'm really hearing awareness. I'm going to add just a few minutes to our time so that we can be respectful of everyone who's joined us today. So yeah, that's so interesting because you talked about breath and you talked about awareness, and I'm right there with you that that's just the most I don't want to say basic and obvious, but it's almost like it's programmed out of us. Slowing down, especially in the Western, pretty much across the entire globe, but in Western civilization, it's kind of more. We've placed such an odd value on the faster you can do it, the better. You know, the more plates you're spinning, the stronger you are. It's and if we really, I really a beautiful practice that has come into my awareness in the last it's so I love that we're talking today because in the last 24 hours, and it was called heart coherence. And there
Mm,
are multiple different ways to do it, but really it boils down to placing a hand on your heart and breathing as though you are filling your heart with life life providing oxygen, and
mm,
allowing even just 5 breaths, and really feeling that breath in the heart, and then allowing awarenesses to come in as you just focus on your heart, you just focus on the breathing. And it was so fun because there were epiphanies coming in, and the calm that I felt. And so sprinkling that throughout the day of just a few deep breaths and visualizing that going into your heart. And then, as you talked about the mechanic of the mind, allow the beauty of the heart to come first. And then, and then let the heart guide the mind. And then you can feel the life force just filling you back up. You feel like you're living on purpose in that moment. And then you get to, as often as you want, you get to step back into that supercharged, alive feeling that is always just waiting for you to breathe, breathe into it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that. That's so beautiful. And you made a distinction. You said you had like an epiphany.
Yeah.
This is the beauty of the mind in service of the heart. We experience it as epiphanies, inspiration, insight. This this is a different way of the mind serving the heart versus having these thought patterns that are circling and running, these stories that we've told. So it's kind of like a different vibration when we're present and we're in our aliveness and in this energy. Then we experience the mind as in a different way, as in inspiration, epiphany, insight.
Mhm.
This this that comes from the inside out.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
and thank you for emphasizing that distinction because yeah, we think that anything that is about thinking or about, um, I don't know, anything that can have a sentence must have come from the mind. Anything that's word related must have come from the mind. And yet I love how you emphasized, insight, intuition, instinct, epiphany, and how those are the moments where we slowed down. Those things come from that internal voice, that internal awareness, the universal awareness. It's not like those big, beautiful moments are not typically in the thinking, in the mind, and in the mechanic. It's really the heart and the life
Well,
force.
I would say we could say it's personal mind and universal mind.
Mhm.
So there's my personal mind, my personal story, everything that I'm circulating or believing, and then there's universal mind, and that's
Mhm.
inspiration, insight, creativity.
Mhm.
A child lives from this mind, like or in any creative, so many things. It's just, but this is this is um I would almost venture to say maybe the rightful use of mind. And it takes letting go. And I also want to just say that wherever we are, it takes time and space. You've heard me say this before, but I think it's so important. And it's important for me. It takes time and space for things to come into time and space. So wherever I am, when I'm inspired, I can cultivate that inspiration. Really, to me, awareness is the key. Being able to become more and more and more aware and being the witness versus being identified with what I'm thinking or feeling or experiencing.
Mhm.
So that the past and these stories that are used to circulating, I mean, it's the physical reality is really habits that form into matter. So it takes time and space for that to dissipate. I noticed over time, it was so like fascinating to me where I would go into a circumstance and I can like remember, oh, I would have completely handled this situation differently before. But I recognize that like I feel so centered, I feel so clear. I have such clarity. So it takes time and space. So hopefully, I mean, if and anytime I'm inspired into a new way of expanding or being, that to remember it takes time and space for things to come into time and space, to give myself that space to grow.
Yeah. And I also want to make sure we open the floor for just anyone who is resonating with this topic, that they can find more of your work and how they can find you, how they can contact you, and just experience more of Dr. Heidi Boyd. We just have a couple minutes. So just how can we find you if we'd like
Uh,
to follow up?
I have a YouTube channel, Conversations with Love, with well, Dr. Heidi Boyd. I know that you have to put in Conversations with Love and Dr. Heidi Boyd. Um, and I have a website, www.conversationswithlove.com. Find me there. My book is on sale through my website if you would like a personalized copy, or on Amazon. It's called Love Speaks, and it's all about presence. That book is pointing at the mechanism of the mind. It's pointing at, this is are the patterns that are running, and outside of this is the ever-present moment. With everything changing, there is something about me that doesn't change. There's something about me that is changeless, and that's the key, because that is the ever-present source that is sourcing our life.
I love that. So please, anyone watching, if Heidi's words are speaking to you, get her book, check out what she has to say on her YouTube channel. I'm Andrea Luzon. You can reach me through my YouTube channel. I'm really feeling called to bring forward morning rituals, body movement, meditation, really grounding into your intentionality in your day, which I feel is just a perfect tie in to what Heidi and I talked about today, which is about reconnecting to your life force. How can we have habits and really stand for knowing our intrinsic value, utilizing our voice, and really being alive? You know, we get one life, we get one chance. So, and you, of course, can book a session with me at www.andrealuzon.com. But this has been an amazing touchstone conversation, how to shift with Dr. Heidi Boyd. Thank you so much for your time.